trick with lots of visual comedy to a storytelling trick without audience participation, I'm shifting gears. And that gives my audience a totally different type of presentation to watch. This gives us another type of audience management strategy, in this case an attention-getting technique, to have in our performing arsenal. And that is this: alternating from an audience participation trick to a non-audience participation trick.
Okay, we can add that technique to our list.
But I do feel that in storytelling tricks like the Gypsy Thread, that use a minimal amount of props and have virtually no audience participation and just one magical moment, that the routine for children needs to be short, in this case 90 seconds.
And I love, Danny, that it's not only a beautiful piece of magic, but it's very calming for the children. I love being in the audience when they watch this, because it's really good practice for them to learn how to enjoy something very quietly and really appreciate every word and every action. Very different kind of response. You do that just beautifully.
Well, thank you. And, that's the purpose, to go from the laugh-filled, zany coloring book routine to something much more serious, but brief and calming. Then I can start the whole cycle over again, as I do with The Miser's Dream.
Now, here you're about to pick a very, very young girl to help you, and I was wondering about that choice. There's probably a certain amount of risk associated with that. I don't know how old she was. This is a young one.
Yeah, I spoke to her mother after the show, and she said she had just turned 3, and normally I avoid 3-year-olds. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, mostly because they just don't have the cognitive skills to follow instructions, or they're suddenly overwhelmed by the fact that everybody's looking at them. But, she was really enjoying the show. She was sitting in her mother's lap. She raised her hand. And the challenge of working with such a young child can add great entertainment value to my show if I handle it correctly.
Do you see the yellow squares underneath your feet?
I think this is what you meant about a 3-year-old's developing cognitive skills right here.
Or lack of them, yes. I think she was distracted by the audience and didn't even hear my question about the yellow squares. So I got more specific by pointing at them.
I'll show you where they are. Look, watch my finger. 1, put your foot here. Good. That's it.
It was cute that she imitated me, but I realized that she wasn't able to understand me at this point. So I switched gears, asking her questions that I knew she could answer successfully.
Thank you. How old are you?
3.
3 years old. And what's your name?
Penelope.
Penelope?
Yeah.
I'm glad you made it. Mom, what's her name? Penelope. That's exactly what she said.
I'm hoping everyone notices this great moment when you have Penelope wave to her mom, which is a cute thing, but there's a lot more going on in the psychology of that, isn't there?
Yes, young children often get disoriented in front of large groups, and that can make them uncomfortable. By having them make a visual contact with either a parent or a teacher, by waving to them, it makes them feel secure.
And that makes them less distracted at the same time.
And that makes them more attentive and cooperative.
Now, shortly we're going to notice that Penelope is getting off of her squares there. What goes through your head when this happens? What are your options there?
I realized she needed instructions repeated. When this happened, I first used a question.
Penelope, are you standing on your squares?
Then 2 more to give her a chance to orient herself.
Are you? Yeah. I see the squares on the floor. Can you put 1 foot on each square?
But when that didn't work, what...
Well, I resorted to another audience management strategy that we discussed earlier to manage group behavior. But this time, I modeled the behavior just for her by putting my feet on the squares to show her what to do.
And when she imitated you, then you praised her. So again, we've got that word. She gets success.
Because I've made her feel so successful, that becomes the reinforcer, and it encourages her to keep her feet on the squares.
Right.
I know we're discussing audience management strategies here, but I want to point out a sneaky sleight of hand move that I'm doing. Watch my right hand as I hold the boy's hip. There's a coin palmed in my right hand, and I'm loading it into the boy's pocket as I help him rotate his body. Normally, I do the loading when his right side is facing upstage, so that the audience doesn't see the process. But I purposely did it this way so the camera could pick it up, and I'll discuss this more in the trick explanation section of the DVD.
Okay.
And what's your name? Tell me louder, please. Sid Larry?
You know, the first person I ever saw perform The Miser's Dream with kids on stage was Dick Osland. He had a little interaction with girls' pigtails and he gave me permission to use it, and I've expanded on it here. You know, some girls are more sensitive about having their hair touched than others. Normally I have 3 gags that I do right there, but I cut it to just 2 because she was rather non-responsive, and I didn't want her to... I didn't want to make her more uncomfortable.
And this, Danny, to me, it's a great example of your really responding to what's happening in this particular show. You're not just saying, well, I have 3 bits and I'm going to get them in no matter what the children do. And you're taking your cues from your helpers.
You know, my number 1 priority is being sure that my helpers are comfortable and feel taken care of.
This is really, really important because if a child doesn't want to be helping at this moment, do you find the audience starts to pick up on that? The audience gets uncomfortable?
They get very uncomfortable, and, that's the last thing we want as a performer.
Right. Now, okay, I've got to ask, what image did you use in order to memorize these names?
I was thinking of the word pods, as in pea pods. That's P for Penelope, D for David, and S for Sid Lowry.
And although this time you're working from what, stage left to stage right, correct?
That's right. Very observant of you.
Thank you very much.
I prefer to do it that way if I can, in the same order in which I meet each of the children that help me.
Use your ears and listen for the money. Listen.
Here you're using your whispering technique again, but it's for a little different purpose. Am I correct?
Right. As well as an audience management strategy to get children's attention, it also enhances the first moment of this trick. You see, the quieter I can get the audience, the stronger the impact of that first clink of the coin.
So this is for dramatic purposes here.
Mm-hmm. Penelope needs very specific instructions on how to hold a coin so the audience can see, because she's at an age where she's still very egocentric.
What do you mean by that?
Well, at age 3, many children can't see things from other people's points of view. She doesn't realize that the kids can't see the coin if she's holding it flat in her hand above their eye level, because she can see it.
And so, again, you're modeling the behavior that you want her to imitate.
Exactly.
I think it comes through so clearly here how loving you are to the children, especially if they don't get it right the first time. The audience appreciates that. You're acting in the role of a great dad, a perfect example of you're taking it slow and just letting her figure it out.
Thank you.
Now, you're stage whispering to this young man. What was it that you said to him?
I asked him, are you standing on the squares? Because I wanted him on that mark so he'd be facing the audience when I tilted his head to the left.
Shall we? Look, 1.
Okay, so again, the yellow squares are your best assistant up there.
Right, I never leave home without them.
Right, exactly. That's a great visual cue for the kids.
But I'm glad you made it. You brought 2 fabuloso pigtails, one on the left, and one on the right.
Now, I'm noticing this time that we're seeing a smile on her face when you are playing with the pigtails. That's different than before.
Yes, now she's more comfortable, and she's getting a turn to make the coins appear. It's rare that I sense that a girl doesn't want me to handle her hair the second time, once they realize that they're going to be part of the fun.
Can you get that one that fell on the floor?
When the coin fell on the floor, you used a question instead of a statement to get the child to pick it up.
Right. I always try using a question. It's less harsh, less demanding, and more polite. And it makes for, I think, a better performance-audience relationship. Here's an example, again, of how important it is to have marks on the floor. By just referring to them and then waiting patiently, the children will actually help each other.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing in this sequence when the young man is actually showing her like an older brother what she's supposed to do, which is just it's just adorable, and it's entertaining from the audience's point of view to see them cooperating like that. It's worth repeating here that you're bending your knees and getting that hydraulic action in at work again.
You can see again here, it's just so visually appealing from the audience's point of view.
It's a great stage picture, isn't it?
Good, David. Hold it up high. Show it to Penelope. Show it to the rest of the children. Show it to the grown-ups. David, I have bad news. There's nothing in your hand. Do you know why? It bounced off your fingertips, Dave. It did a triple flip in the air, and it landed in your front right pants pocket. Reach inside. Feel it? Hold it up. Show it to everybody.
Now I'm setting up the next joke by telling him, check out the other pocket, and then I look away.
That way it can look like you're discovering him reaching into his pocket, and it sets you up for the joke about the future governor.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, the future governor of Illinois.
For folks watching this footage, the joke that Danny's making here resonates with the adults watching in particular, because we're in Illinois, and the Illinois governor has been recently sent to prison.
You can always find somebody's in the news that you can probably refer to, or a future politician. There's certainly many ways you can kind of get this joke in if you want to use it with a miser's dream sequence.
Those jumbo coins are an incredible surprise at the end of this routine.
You know, there's magicians who are purists that might say I've gone too far. But when performing for children, I think that bigger is frequently better. The jumbo coins give a strong visual climax to a routine that's really much about sound.
Right. The first time I saw that, it was really stunning because it was so unexpected. Which again gives us another attention-getting technique, changing the stimulus.
Right. In this case, I go from doing magic that they can hear to doing magic that they can see with supersized props.
And you're going to get a supersized audience reaction when you do it this way.
Because the silver ball is gone.
Okay, now this is the moment when I make the confession about missing the steal. I never see the steal.
This is one trick that I actually explained to the kids in a rather funny way toward the end of the show. But let's rewind right now to a section in the first show that we videoed, which had a camera that caught the moment, and a few others in the Miser's Dream that I want to share so I can explain the real work.
Okay, so here the coin's been loaded in the boy's right pocket at the beginning of the routine. I like the way you take him from disappointment to this discovery, and he's really surprised. It's a great reaction the way you set this up.
I have him drop the coin into the bucket as I cue him, check your other pocket, while I walk behind him and approach the girl. Then I look back at him and I make the joke about the Illinois governor.
Future governor of Illinois.
After the coins fall from his nose, my right hand, which is shielded by his body, steals the 3-inch jumbo coin from my right pants front pocket. And I hold it in my right hand because I also hold the boy's collar.
Because
I don't want him to move or turn and prematurely reveal the coin.
Okay. Now, what you're doing here is basically repeating the steal with the, what is that, 5-inch? A 5-inch jumbo coin with the girl?
Exactly. Except I'm stealing the coin from my right pants back pocket.
How important is it that you've picked somebody with long hair for this trick?
I think it's important because the coin looks really cool as it slowly comes into view. And this is another way to increase the impact of the show. Choosing helpers whose clothing and physical appearance enhances the technical aspects of your performance is always a good strategy.
Can we now get to the only part that I care about, which is stealing the silver ball? I need more insight here.
Well, here's how I do this.
Okay.
I get the audience to focus on the children as I dismiss them and they walk back to their seats. And as I walk past the zombie ball, my right hand just puts it in the bucket.
Your eyes are not looking at it.
And that's really what's most important.
So now you start your sentence with raise your hand.
Raise your hand if you've been watching the magic show carefully.
I'm still setting expectations, but it's also a setup for the follow-up question about the disappearance of the silver ball.
Which means you're tricking them twice here. They don't know where it went, and they don't know when it vanished.
Which is why I think the audience reaction is so neat here.
So now we're going to see your presentation of U.F. Grant's famous Stratosphere. To introduce this great classic of the, what was it, late 60s? Was that about?
Right, yeah, he invented it, I think, 1969.
Yeah. You're essentially doing a question and answer session here, Danny. People aren't shouting out because you've taught them earlier that you expect them to raise their hand.
Yes, my earlier reinforcement of that correct behavior, raising their hand before they speak, is now paying off.
Yes, that's a good guess too. But actually my first job was being in charge of light bulbs in the traffic lights that are in downtown Chicago. I'll show you. When Mayor Daley was mayor in Chicago a long time ago, he told me I could go around and be in charge of all the traffic lights, because it's very important that these bulbs are always working. Green means go.
And here you're using a technique, this is great, of having them fill in the blank as you call out the colors. This is different, isn't it?
Right. But this time, there's an added benefit. You know, I did it when we had the coloring book and we're referring to the box of crayons.
Right.
But now there's an added benefit. This trick is challenging for young children to follow. If they can't follow the fact that the balls are magically changing position, then they're not experiencing any magic. Stratosphere is actually a less visual trick than a transformation trick like the coloring book or a trick where coins appear, because the balls in the tube don't disappear or anything. So I take my time and repeatedly draw attention to the diagram, so even the youngest child will know where the red ball should be. So when I lift up the outer tube, everyone is quicker to realize that the red ball isn't at the top.
So is that why you have the children complete your sentences as an attention-getting technique?
Exactly. It not only gives them a speaking role in the show, but it helps them follow many magical routines where what they are saying is contradicted by the magical outcome of the trick. When they complete my sentences, it increases their attention to the situation at hand. So when the magic happens, they better perceive the difference between what they say and what they see. The result, a more amazing trick and a stronger audience reaction.
Enough room in there for the ball to go in?
And I noticed that you're not using everyone's favorite piece of magical apparatus, the gung-ho box, I believe.
I've always hated that thing, you know. It's not angle-proof, and it's so suspicious looking.
Excuse me, I have 3 of them on my dresser at home. No, I've never seen anything that looks like that either. I like your solution better. The paper bag is a much less conspicuous and innocuous object, and the great sound when you explode it and show it's empty is just so much better.
And I think the secret to switching it imperceptibly is keeping my eye on the magic wand in my left hand as my right hand leaves one bag behind the table and grabs the other.
You're in charge of shaking the wand for me. Good. Just shake it over there. Good. Everybody say jumbo jelly beans. And we can fix it immediately just like this.
I also noticed that you minimize the time from when the ball disappears and then when you go instantly back to the tube.
Yes, again, I'm managing my audience's reactions by not letting them get ahead of me. I keep the action moving, and I reveal the 3 balls before anyone anticipates the ending of that trick.
Thank you very much.
So you're not giving them any time really to think about where did the ball go. This is another good audience management strategy.
Yes, much of the value of a magical routine are the unexpected moments and the little surprises along the way, as well as the bigger surprises at the end of the routine. If we give children too much time to figure out what's going to happen, they'll just shout it out. And dramatically speaking, that ruins the trick almost as much as when they figure it out and shout out the method. So I use this strategy to stay one step ahead of them.
So here, Danny, you're actually explaining to the audience how you made the silver ball disappear.
Well, I do, but they don't believe it. After the show, kids come up to me and they ask me, how do you really make the silver ball disappear? But I use a question and answer sequence to keep them involved in the process.
And what makes this so funny, of course, is your choice to do this part moving in very slow motion.
You know, the first person I saw do this was Jeff Justice when he did his false explanation of his silk through microphone stand routine. And I think David Copperfield uses slow motion technique in his stage shows as well.
Right. It's a great way to capture attention, doesn't it? When you do that, the kids just go through the roof.
Yes, actually, any change in the way you move on stage that is different from the way you normally move will stand out. So if there's a place in your show where this might fit, you should try it.
Absolutely.
Well, we have time for one more magic trick.
Now, there's a great tip here. Danny, why do you tell the kids that this is the last trick?
You know, a good audience management strategy, especially to avoid anyone from being disappointed that the show is suddenly over, is to state that the end of the show is coming.
I need one more person to help. They must be very brave, not scared of anything in the entire world. There's a young lady right there with pink sunglasses. You look pretty brave today. You want to step right up here?
You mentioned the word brave a couple of times here.
Yes, I need to gauge my helper, because in a couple of minutes, I'm going to ask her to hold a live bird. And that can be unnerving.
Sure.
So it also sets up the audience that something exciting and perhaps a little bit scary is going to happen.
Which again creates some anticipation.
Yeah, but more subtly.
Good. Anything inside the hat, Zoe? No. Good. Nothing yet. Do you walk to school, Zoe, or do you carry your lunch? It's a trick question, actually, Zoe. But I brought my lunch bag with me because I used to walk to school when I was your age and I carried my lunch. And my lunch bag was different than all the other kids. My lunch bag had a little zipper in it where the lunch went in. And then it developed a little hole where the lunch fell out. What do you think happened to my lunch? It fell out, right? Good. Of course, if it fell on the sidewalk, I couldn't eat the lunch. So I figured zipping it up like this was better to keep the lunch at the bottom of the bag without it falling out. Don't you think that's a good idea? Me too. Hold on. I also brought with me a silver tube. A silver tube which is perfect for the summer season because it reminds me of all the beautiful things that we see in the summer. If you look at the sun rising in the morning.
So when I was watching this final trick, I noticed lots of audience management strategies in play.
Yes, I include call and response with the colors of the scarves.
Yellow. And the chrysanthemums are red. And the pavement outside in the parking lots is black and hot.
I also add a touch of slapstick when my fingers get caught in the genie tube.
That wasn't real?
I also use the verbal running gag, "That's not funny," followed up by having them raise their hands. I also use a spectator management technique here with the silly wands from David Kay, who's also known as Silly Billy.
And here again we see your use of your eyes to maximize what you get out of the audience response here, because of the way you look when the wand is actually stretched.
Stretching the wand without noticing that it is stretched is funnier than if I had noticed it.
And then you repeat that no-look transformation when you bend the wand as well, right? You're looking away.
Exactly. The sound of the wand changing shape, combined with me pretending not to notice it, is a strong physical comedy for children.
I like especially the way you get the child to pull on the wand to make it bigger. You're not telling her to do that. It makes it appear as if she's thinking of this on her own.
Mm-hmm. You know, David Kay has some great ideas on presenting it. Different children react differently. Some pull it without any prompting, some need encouragement.
But I like the way that you didn't tell her to pull on it, yet you got her to do it anyway.
Yes, it took her one time to figure out what her role was, but she did it unprompted the second time. The secret, I think, is the way I challenged her to do it, giving her specific instructions on where to put her hands to pull. And then I just waited. Sometimes the child gets it right away. Sometimes the audience gets the joke before the helper, and they tell her what to do. And it gets funnier with repetition. You'll notice, by the way, as the child is expanding her wand,
right,
that I'm shrinking mine just a little bit to be sure that mine will be shorter than hers when we compare them. The sound that mine makes is covered by the sound that hers is making. And you'll notice that I again get 2 laughs for 1 gag when comparing the lengths.
because the kids are seeing that her wand is bigger before you notice it, and they laugh again when you're reacting to her wand being the biggest.
Exactly.
This is a very, very nice moment, because here the two of you are working as a team as you attach the wands together. This is very nice. And again, it's an example of not making her stupid or not making her wrong, but making her a respected part of the performing team.
You know, there's a competitive component of whose wand is bigger, and it's fun for a while. But the real goal of my show is that we're all working together to make magic.
Hand me the one that's the color of a red rose.
This is a really nice creative touch here, Danny, when you challenge the children to determine what colors you're describing. You're referring to the real world instead of just saying, hand me the blue, not hand me the red, not hand me the yellow.
Right, and the audience is mentally playing along too.
Right.
Trying to guess what colors I'm referring to, as she has the successful experience of selecting the correct colors. So I think another good audience management strategy is to challenge children with simple mental tasks at which they're going to succeed. Then we revisit having the children chant the magic word.
And then you do something I don't think I've ever seen any magician do.
Yes, I tell them that someone's grandmother is standing on her head in the back of the room.
Her head? Whose grandma is that? Do you know?
This is the setup to the sucker effect that this trick is about to become.
It's especially funny actually being in the room live to see the adults watching the kids turn their heads. They get a huge, huge kick out of watching their children.
Some of those adults look too.
True, yes, true.
So the strategy I'm using here is, if you want everyone to look away, describe a powerful image and point.
So it's your specific picture of a grandma that conjures up.
I think that's what makes it work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's rewind and check out this part in the video. So, doing a sucker effect, where the children are set up to really think that they know how you trick them, is a real twist to the standard magic plot. I think the problem that many magicians have is that they do a sucker effect more than once in a show. And I think that dilutes the impact.
Now here you're in that screaming situation, or at least potentially, where the kids are saying, I know where the scarves are, it's in the other sleeve, that kind of thing. You're using a very nice strategy here by asking them to raise their hands.
Raise your hand if you turn to look at Grandma.
Right. I'm helping them kind of get their... they're so assured of what's going to happen. I'm helping them, communicate to me, by having them raise their hands. And because I taught them earlier to use that technique, they fall right into line.
And by having them vote, in a sense, you're giving them some structure for the excitement so it doesn't get out of hand. Mm-hmm. It's very, very nice. And when the bird appears, so much is going on at the same time that the children, of course, are going to react so strongly. Can you talk about the use of a bird or other live animal?
Yeah, live animals make a huge impression on children. But I get more out of that bird's appearance because the children just don't see it coming. They think that there are scarves in the bag.
Right.
Furthermore, I look away as the bird is taken from the dove bag. And when I look back, I pretend to be as surprised as the children.
Which is a persona that you're using for lots of your show. The magic is happening to you instead of by you.
Right. I play the magician, but sometimes I slip into the role of the Greek chorus. This gives me a chance to model the emotion that I want all of them to feel. In this case, it's surprise. It takes me out of the role of the all-powerful magician and makes it easier for the kids to bond with me.
Now, this moment I remember as being where they were getting ready to storm the castle.
The little boy in the checked shirt was probably no more than 3 years old. I dealt with him by first recognizing how he was feeling.
You were reflecting his feeling right back at him.
Right. Then I complimented another child who was sitting correctly.
Which is the using of the positive reinforcement you were talking about.
Right. And then I followed up by asking, not by telling him, to sit down too.
And this technique gets the child to sit down without your demanding that he sit down. Can we take a look at how effective that is here?
Are you excited? You're sitting perfectly with your legs crossed in front of you. Can you go sit just like your sister?
You can see how these techniques really do work so nicely.
And they're so great for performers because it's important for us to maintain that friendly disposition during a performance, reflecting children's emotions, using positive reinforcement, modeling correct behavior, and then asking rather than telling they're all great strategies.
Raise your hand if you think it's a bunny rabbit.
The kids get very worked up when you insist that the bird is a rabbit.
And they get very interactive, doing lots of disagreeing with me because I give such silly examples. Listen to how the audience volume increases over the next 20 seconds.
Have cute little white tails, and there's a cute little white tail. And bunny rabbits have feet they can hop with. See the little hopping feet there? See the feet?
At this point, I notice that the volume level of the kids is getting too loud. So I use your hydraulic strategy, where I bend at the knees to their level.
And you're also dropping your voice level as you kneel down.
Right, and I slowed my speech.
So 3 things are happening there.
Right, and then the children suddenly got quiet.
And bunny rabbits have 2 long ears.
Using 2 or 3 audience management strategies at the same time can be a very effective way to handle children and keep the show from getting out of control.
No, it's a bunny rabbit. Finally, bunny rabbits hop. You want to see him hop? Hold your hand in front of you. He's going to hop and land right there. Are you feeling brave?
You just brought up bravery again?
Yes, I'm reminding her that this is expected of her. But I let her know what's going to happen, and I hold her hand so she doesn't move it.
Am I correct here that the bird has left a deposit?
Yes, it happens a lot.
This is a different meaning to the word bird production. Is that right? Yeah, this is the bird's own production.
You know, it does happen a lot, and I make it part of the show. I found that if I don't scoop it up, then the kids get hugely distracted, and it's hard for them to concentrate on anything else.
Say, fly, bird, fly! Good job. Hold still. Good. Let's give Zoe a big round of applause. She's doing a great job.
So the kids here are getting into the chanting, fly, bird, fly, and they say it over and over again.
Right. So according to our behavior modification theory, that's categorized as negative behavior, which should be ignored.
So you're not focusing on that at all?
Nope. And by giving them something more interesting to consider, in this case the final scarf production, you can see and hear that the chanting stops.
If you stay right where you are, stay right where you are. If you enjoyed my show today, be sure to tell your friends, because I have more shows.
When concluding a show, I like to thank the child who held the dove, and I generally make 3 announcements. This didn't happen when we videoed because the librarian brought the prize drawing box into the performing space, and we ended up segueing directly into that. But normally I say 3 things in this order. I have the children clap for themselves for being such a great audience. I encourage them to thank any adults who were responsible for bringing me to the facility or the event. I tell them to stay right in their seat until their parent comes to get them or their teacher or counselor tells them to stand up and leave the performance space.
And in a situation like this, Danny, when they're not in a school, you're in a library here, I notice that you don't take a final bow and then leave the stage.
No way. The children want to meet me, pet the bird, take pictures, and more importantly, I have to protect my props. Because I've placed a 30-foot strip of tape on the floor, it's easy to refer to that as the line they can't cross. It's worked effectively during the show, preventing the children from inching up too close to my performing area. Now, I simply have to refer to it to make sure they don't touch the props.
And that gives them a nice visual cue so they know exactly what to do.
Yes, the 30-foot line of tape that delineates the performing area from the audience area. It's a great way to create structure to help the children sit where they're supposed to be.
Danny, thanks for giving us an inside look at your great show with some great examples on how you use audience management strategies to perform a fabulous family magic show. You've created a lot of strategies. You've used them over 40 years to successfully perform magic for youngsters and include their parents as well. And it's been a delight talking to you about it.
Well, thanks. These are all outlined on one of the downloadable PDF documents on this DVD. I hope that other magicians will find them useful and be able to implement them to improve the quality of their own performances.
Welcome to my home. We're here for a guest interviewer, and my interviewer
And I met in 1979 here in Chicago at Magic Incorporated. And we discovered we lived just 3 blocks from each other in Evanston, Illinois. He is what Magic Magazine calls one of the 100 most influential magicians of the 20th century. He's the dean of the McBride Magic and Mystery School in Las Vegas, and recently at FISM, he won an award for theory and philosophy. So I could think of no one better to interview me on my theories and my philosophies about performing magic for children. So please welcome Eugene Berger.
How nice to be here.
Thanks for coming. I can hear the applause.
See? And we've known each other for almost 35 years.
Long time.
Wow, wow. It's neat to have friends that long. Well, I'm here to interview you, and I've got my questions.
Great.
And let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Which is the introduction.
Right, right.
First of all, you have a card that you give people.
Right, right.
And what I found interesting about your card was that unlike many magicians, maybe most magicians, who would have credits on their card, where they've performed, if they've written books, whatnot.
Right.
Yours is very different.
Right, right.
So talk to me about your card.
So what I try to do with the introduction card, I used to not have an introduction card actually. And I discovered that not having an introduction card caused a real problem because people would misintroduce me. I would tell them my name, I would tell them a little bit about me. Once I was introduced as Danny O'Day, another time Danny K. They would just like mess up, And I realized that an introduction card really helped. Now, the problems with it is sometimes it makes the person introducing me very stiff and they're just reading as opposed to being relaxed. But the truth is I found that more often it helped than it hurt. So I go with an introduction card now. So what I put on it, instead of my credits, like, for children, telling them that I've performed at the Magic Castle or that I'm a member of IBM or SAM, it's meaningless to them. So I really use things that kids can relate to, that resonate with them. So I tell them that this is my job, that I travel all over the country doing magic at schools and theaters and museums, and that before I was a magician, I used to be a kindergarten teacher. Because, everybody has great memories of their kindergarten teacher. And so, and if the kids are in kindergarten, you get a big reaction from them.
Sure.
So that's what I put down on the card.
Now, have you ever been